Welcome back to Four Sisters, where we will give you tips on self-care, self-awareness, self-confidence, and show you all of the ways you can love yourself. So get ready to laugh, cuss, cry, and pray. Welcome, you guys.
Hey, girl.
How y'all doing?
Good. How are you,
Good.
I've
been out here working.
I'm as good. You know, staying black, trying to survive.
Okay, say it loud.
So you all had good weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Listen, honey, I'm blessed and highly favored.
Amen.
I know that is a word. A word.
Well,
All right, this week, guys, we're going to do something a little different. You've heard us talk about it. I think a few episodes ago we did Get Your Sister, a few different episodes, but we're going to do one real special and dear to us, and we're going to talk about our passion, pains, and pleasures. And so it's going to be broken down into 3 different categories, if I'm not mistaken, and we're going to have some questions to kind of sort of focus on each one. And Dani's going to hit us off on the first one, talking about our passion.
All right. So in passion, pain, and pleasure. Ooh, child, that's a word. In the first question for passion, this is for everyone. What is your passion regarding your work? Specifically, what is your specialty? What do you focus on, etc.? So because we're all therapists, it will be good for you all to know what we actually do in therapy, in our practice.
All right. Well, this is CiCi. So my passion is mainly working with families. I specifically like working in like the parenting realm, where I'm helping parents learn how to be good parents, working with small kids. I like kids from birth to 5. I'll tolerate up to 10. I'll see anybody of any age, but that's really my flavor.
your niche.
Yes. So that's my focus.
My focus is primarily on teens and young adults. They have a special place in my heart, specifically because I think that's the time where I started to like fumble, but that's my passion. So teens and young adults dealing with trauma, specifically a lot of emotional trauma. So I don't think it get noticed a lot. So I like to dabble in that a lot to know how that have created monsters in adulthood or monsters in our teenage lives when we're dealing with it from that perspective. So that's my focus and my specialty. And like CiCi, I see everyone, but those babies are dear to my heart.
Well, my passion is first and foremost trauma, and my second passion is minding my business. And so I personally like to incorporate those 2 things into my therapy.
How do you mind your business in therapy?
You practice self-care. It is the ultimate minding your own business.
Don't keep going.
I encourage my people to really put themselves first, to mind their business and not others, to care for themselves, to cope with their trauma, understand themselves, give them skills to kind of like create their own user manual for themselves so that they can, you know, thrive out here in these streets.
Yes.
So I work with all ages. I prefer teenagers. Well, actually, you know, lately I've had a very sweet spot for the adults. I like the women population in general, though, whether it's a teen girl or an adult woman. I rock with the ladies.
Okay. So this is Dani, and so my specialty, of course, I prefer 12 and up. I'm more of a young adult type of therapist. And I think a lot of that has just been that's been my niche. I have a very assertive personality. And I think that works more with older people than younger people because it might scare the babies. So what I've decided in my practice is that I will see anyone, but I do specifically like that sector of people. I do trauma, and also you all know I do substance abuse. I have my supervisor always says I do addiction counseling. I can't keep saying substance abuse. It's just that most of my clients are substance abuse, but I've had sex addiction. I've had gambling. I've had clients who've had an assortment of different types of addictions, but it just seems like I always get substance abuse. So adult substance abuse and trauma. Also trauma trained as well. So the next question, what led you to this passion? Specifically, any specific events? Maybe it's an internship, something you stumbled upon.
That's what you get.
Whatever.
Let's see. I think there's a lot of things that actually led to this passion, but I think getting in this field probably. Okay. Getting into this field, I will never forget my one and only AP psychology class in high school.
She had to throw the AP in there. Just let us know.
Yes, because I'm smart. No, but I took this class and it was like all about intro to psychology, and I loved it. Something about that Sigmund Freud. But I loved that class, and then from there I've always been interested in it. So, yeah.
Okay.
My passion formulates from a combination of things. So when I was younger, I took care of my uncle from like 9th grade, maybe even 8th grade, up until my senior year. He passed away. So when he passed away, I felt like this sense of emptiness, and so I knew going into college, because literally that fall I was going to college, going into college, that I wanted to be in the helping field. One field that I tried but did not succeed is nursing. I couldn't deal with needles. I couldn't deal with blood. I couldn't deal with any of that. It was just...
You didn't know that beforehand?
I probably did. But I just knew that I could do it because, in a sense, I was my Uncle CNA. Like, I'm out here, like, giving... the insulin shots. I'm out here doing it all. Checking blood sugar. So I just knew I could just, like, go in and, like, own it. But it didn't work out. But then, after I graduated from my social work program in undergrad, I started working at a group home. Never thought I would land myself into a group home. Those babies, it was teenage girls, at-risk teenage girls, at-risk teenage boys, and pregnant teenage girls. All of those
former group home workers in the streets.
Like, those babies was just lost in these streets, and I was like, literally. And it really, like, set me onto that whole idea of mental health. Because in my brain, I was going to always be a medical social worker. That was it. No mental health. But that's how I got into mental health in itself. And it's now my passion. And I wouldn't think about changing it. Probably dabble in other ideas of what mental health means and how I can utilize my time differently. But, yeah, that's got me into my passion.
You want to know a story? I went to school to be a pediatrician, but I failed all my chemistries, and so I mean, that's what I wanted to do my whole life. I'm gonna be a pediatrician. That's probably why I'm with the babies in mental health.
Oh,
but
I never knew that either.
But when I went to my
she be keeping secrets.
I know. When I went to my counselor, she was like, "Baby girl,
this ain't it.
You do realize that you're gonna have to take chemistry." I was on the pre-med track and everything, and I was like, "I gotta take more of these and these calculus classes." And she was like, "I was like, so I'm gonna need to switch over." So then it became psychology.
Okay.
Wow.
Shout out to the psych majors.
Yeah.
Well, similarly, I set my sights on a different career initially. For the bulk of my childhood, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to help people. They make money. I'm good at arguing. I'm mad smart. It just makes sense. And then I got into the 11th grade and I was like, you know, I don't really like the law. And I don't like following them. And I don't think that would be the best thing for me to study in school. Doesn't seem like I'm setting myself up for success. So I said, what can I do to help people? And I was like, you know what? People always talking to me about their issues. I could be a therapist. Duh. And so I took a psychology class my senior year, and it was bomb. And I was like, well, there you have it. I'm going to be a therapist. And so that's how I got here. And then over time, also, I guess a part 2 of that thing is that I was like a very troubled teen that had like a bad attitude and stuff. And I was like, you know what?
That's what you do as an adult. Continue.
And I was like, you know what? I think I want to be a therapist for teens because probably if I had somebody to just talk to about my emotions, I probably would have been a little bit more regulated and like not such a high and low. So I was like, I'm going to be a teen therapist. And look at us. Here we are.
Look at God.
Well, you know, mine actually was weird because mine is a lot like Sasha's, except I went a little further. So I wanted to be a lawyer as well because I was good at debating and arguing. And, you know, in my mind, that really was like all I needed. And everybody used to always say, like, you're really good at debating and arguing. So, so I went to Central. And I went because they have a really good law program, and I thought, okay, well, my goal is to go into grad, and then it'll make it easier for me to go straight into law school. And I went in for criminal justice, and I was doing great in all my classes. But my senior year, in my second semester, my senior year was the year that I was going to graduate. Yeah, so yeah, second semester of my senior year. My uncle, who my dad was like really close to. He's always, from when I was younger, he had bipolar. And I knew he had bipolar, and he would always be at the house, and, like, my dad and him would be watching, like, old Western movies and stuff, and I'd be sitting there back there watching it, too, like, I could care less. And so he was, like, always, like, kind of always at the house, and so I grew, like, a relationship like that. You know, he's always here, so let me just, like, talk to him. And so my senior year of college, he committed suicide, and I think a lot of what changed me from saying, you know what, I'm good at debating, I'm good at, like, I was literally applying to law schools. But I think that, like, quickly changed. And I actually didn't even go straight into grad school. I took time out to kind of figure out what it is that I wanted and to figure out, like, I knew at that point because of his mental health and how, you know, he committed suicide, I knew I wanted to go into mental health. I just didn't know anything about mental health. I knew that mental health is not something we talked about in our community or even my family, because my dad didn't even talk about my uncle having bipolar. I found out from my mom. You know what I'm saying? So in those situations, I knew I wanted to be able to help African Americans in the field of mental health. I just didn't know how. So I took a little bit of time. I got into the field of mental health to figure out what I wanted to do. And then I figured out I wanted to be a therapist. And then I interned into grad school. So I took like 2.5 years between my senior year and grad school. So if anybody tell you got to go straight through, you don't got to. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, that was my thought.
I took a year between mine too because I didn't know what I wanted my major to be in grad school. So I was like, I could be a counselor.
Right.
I initially wanted to be an LMFT. Shout out to y'all. Whoop, whoop. But then I was doing my research and I was like, I'm going to do social work because I had took this class my senior year and I was like, I really like it. And then I was like, they only got to go to school for 2 extra years and I can do other stuff in case I decide one day I don't want to be a therapist anymore. And boom, here we are. Licensed clinical social worker. Bam.
So next question is, how have you perfected your passion? So, like, have you taken any type of trainings, any type of readings that you've done, any type of online something? Like, just tell me, how have you perfected it now that we know how you got here?
I've definitely taken lots of trainings, been rostering stuff. I am a rostered parent-child interaction therapist, which is PCIT. I have been trained in trauma. Obviously, I have my master's in marriage and family counseling, so I've got some stuff under my belt. Anytime that I can absorb some training or just get some more knowledge of something, I'm always down to do that. So.
Perfected is a tough word. Because I'm honestly going to be quite honest and say I haven't perfected it, but like CiCi, I've done a lot of trainings for trauma specifically, but the population that I'm looking into, like, doing more group work and understanding a lot more with is, like I said, my teens and young adults. And there's not a lot out there, like, research wise, or a lot of people kind of sort of giving modalities or different things to work with them. So my creative brain is flowing, wrong word, flowing. So I'm trying to create those workshops and things like that now in my brain. See me later.
I think this is one of those fields, which is why it's so cool, is that I don't think you'll ever be perfected in it, because there's always new knowledge.
Right.
Things change over the years, and so it's always that cool thing about learning more and just getting more knowledge of just how things have changed.
So with me, I would say it's really hard because with substance abuse, there's always a new something. And so I normally get on like the White House website and a lot of different forums that in groups, even on like Facebook or something like that. I get in these groups where I learn like all the time about different types of addictions and different types of substances, etc. I'm also trained as a trauma therapist for adults and children. At what is it, ages 5 to 18? So I'm trained in trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, which is for teenagers and young adults and kids and 18 and under. And then cognitive processing. Yeah, pretty much. But cognitive processing therapy, which is for adults. And so I will say one thing. I have a little bit of, I would say something that has helped me is constant supervision and peer consultation. So I will say that, going to a supervisor and getting knowledge, as well as having, peer consultation with peers and being able to like talk and get knowledge from everybody else has also helped me perfect what I do now.
So I definitely have done a lot of the same things that you guys have. Of course, I went to school and got a degree, and then I'm rostered in a few things too, meaning I went and got extra training to make sure that I'm specialized in certain trauma therapy models. And outside of that, though, I spend a lot of my free time being a complete and total nerd and like listening to podcasts about mental health and trauma, listening to TED Talks, doing my own research, listening to audiobooks. And then also at one point in my career, I realized that I was kind of being a hypocrite and that I was telling people that they needed to focus on their mental health and that they needed to talk about their feelings, and I hadn't done it. And so one way that I've created a lane for myself, or improved my skills as a therapist, was that I went to therapy myself, and I learned how it felt to be on both sides of the couch. And I think that translates in my sessions as somebody that's just like very warm and relatable and makes people feel comfortable.
Okay. So outside of work, what are your passions?
Minding my business.
Tell us more.
So,
tell us more outside of minding your business.
Minding my business is
really every week,
but it's my mind. It is literally my brand. It's my mantra of life. I really spend time minding my business. I do what makes me feel good. I do things that make me happy. I do things that's gonna help and allow me to be the best version of myself. And that's what I focus on. A lot of times we get caught up in what this person said, what this person is doing, how am I compared to this person and that person, and I found that it doesn't make me feel good. And so I just try to refocus that energy on making sure that I am, I guess it's cliche, but like I'm the change that I want to see. And so that's what I do. I be out over here minding my business, light my candles, listen to my music, being nerdy, hanging out with my peoples, and just being me.
Okay. Y'all that boring? Nobody got nothing to say?
Listen.
Y'all be doing that outside of work.
It's called raising a family.
Developing my passion outside of work, because recently I've been having to do some soul searching. Shout out to Black Therapists Rock Conference, because they out here making me try to do better in life. But recently I've been doing it, but I've been more purposeful with doing it, like bringing home techniques that I use in my therapy office to utilize with my son, because he cannot regulate at all. So I'm using my passion as well as my ability to know what type of parent I wanted growing up. Not saying my mom is a horrible parent, but understanding that it's a different way sometimes to do things, and using my passion of how I'm helping other people to also help my household is one way that I'm developing and furthering that ability to increase my knowledge. Even going back to the last question, actually doing the things that I am teaching, almost like not being hypocritical, like Sasha said, and doing the things and doing the work at home that I need to do.
And you also do like a lot of stuff. Like,
I do too much stuff.
You stay somewhere, you stay at an event, whether you helping to plan it or doing something super creative. Like, you do a lot of stuff outside of work. Not just, raise a family.
Shout yourself out.
Listen,
Give yourself props.
I give myself props, but sometimes that rope is too long, and I don't know when to reel it back in. So it's a gift and a curse to kind of sort of want to be a helping hand all the time.
That's true.
So I can say, because it is a passion. Like, creativity as a whole is one of my passions. Like, I love when I can be creative. I love when y'all or other sets of my friends are like, "Hey Kay, do you got any good like quotes or words that I can kind of sort of use with my teams, or I can use for this, or like helping them plan something out?" Like, my heart just jumped. I would put my whole work computer down and go to town with it. So,
and you're amazing at doing that.
well, thanks. I'm working on accepting compliments as well. So thank you.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yeah, no.
I don't really know what my passion is outside of work, because
The Lord.
I was about to say you and your.
Outside of the Lord, do you got some passion?
But I feel like that's a passion of yours.
It is a passion. That's why, just to give us, I don't really think, that's just
But that's what it is.
me. Me and him. But, okay, so the Lord.
What do you do specifically outside of work for the Lord?
I go to church.
And?
Speak on it.
Okay, you be speaking on the Lord.
I do. I be speaking.
Okay. You're gonna have to invite us sometime.
I think I have other things that I like doing. For instance, I love writing. I have written almost a full book. Just trying to find the time to finish and really get focused on it. But yeah, writing, that's a passion of mine. Singing. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. See, look at you.
I had to do
there
it.
are things that you do.
Cooking.
Mm-hmm. Them baby's about to get a home cooked meal tonight.
Yes. Yes.
The kids better warm up them raviolis.
Oh, God. All right.
But my last 2 Wingstop wings. I can come to your house.
Yeah, girl.
My passions, I'm a self-proclaimed thriftstress.
Okay.
I just freestyled that.
Yes.
I like it.
But I love thrifting. I don't even know. It's been a year. It was weird because on my Facebook memories, it's been a year. My Facebook memories, I was like, I'm trying to thrifting thing for the first time to see how it go, and I'm like, here we are, a year later, and I'm out here in these streets.
It's been that long.
Yeah, it's been a year. But I didn't know what I was doing at first, but I had perfected the art of thrifting.
You have.
I have. Shout out this past weekend. Well, this week. Yeah, this actual day is this actual weekend is National Thrift Weekend. But either or. So I like thrifting. I like baking. I get that from my grandmother. I used to watch her do You ever had those grandmas that like never wrote the recipe down? She actually did write the recipe down, but she never followed it. So when she tried to show it to you, you had to figure out like, all right, is this a cup? Like, what is this?
Just a pinch.
Yeah, she was like, you just need a little bit of sugar, give me a little bit of this. So like, I learned how to bake based off of just like watching her bake.
And she can bake, honey. Yes.
So I like baking. I like buying books, but I don't care too much for reading them. I don't know what happened in life.
My whole headphone just gave up on that comment.
But I have a lot of books that I want to read, but I just have not sat down and read them. I will say, when I was going to my school, I did sit and read one of my books, and I'm halfway done, even though I've had the book for like a year. So like buying books, supporting Black authors.
Yes.
You know, I'm out here. That's a passion.
You support Black businesses as well.
I support Black businesses. A lot of them. I can't think of. I like listening to podcasts. My passion is this podcast, but I like listening to the other ones. Yeah, I like DIYs. So I'm a big DIY person. Everything from like hair to crafts to etc. I like. My passion is DIYs because I get on YouTube, find one YouTube video, and then like 40 YouTube videos later, I know how to do it. So I'm just like, I like that.
And your passion is being frugal McDougal. Like, you
that's
do
true.
half of
That's
those
true.
things because you cheap. And but no
Yeah, that's
shade.
true.
That's like
that is
you
true.
though.
That's why I do my hair by myself because I'm just like, I don't want to pay nobody to do it.
And you shade
and
the
I'm cheap.
others of us that are not cheap.
Yeah, you're right.
You get us together financially.
But yeah, so that's my passions outside of my job. Oh, and playing with babies and dogs and puppies. Go ahead.
Oh yes, animals. Go ahead, what?
I thought you haven't done yours.
Minding her business.
I forgot you started. I'm thinking we're going this way. So thinking of the things that you just named, how are you developing your passion outside of work?
Wait.
Not the passion of work, but developing. So say for instance, CiCi does. No, I said, what are your passions outside of work?
You
Now
answered that question.
Oh.
Yeah, you did, but
she was like, well, what I just said in that last thing. But how are you developing your passion, or if there is a passion that you want to develop, how do you develop it?
CiCi above. Miss K jumped ahead of the questions and answered already, so you got 3 other folks that can answer.
Well, I practice minding my business and learning about things all the time. And then I think how I can develop it more is being more intentional about sharing my knowledge and creativity and ideas with other people besides.
How are you creative with minding your business? What does that even mean?
You wouldn't know because I don't tell you. So, but yeah.
Did you just say you want to share it? Like, so you don't want to share it?
I don't want to share it with you. So, but yes, I talk all the time about my ideas for, how to increase self-care and promote mental health and wellness and, just taking care of yourself, being your best self. So I want to be more intentional in creating content that kind of supports that vision and, not living life scared.
That's a word at the end. Mm-hmm. I would say thrifting was one of my passions that I've really developed over this last year. And like I said before, it went from like not even knowing like but one thrift store and like not understanding like the concept of thrifting and like the strategy behind it to really like going. I was going 2 times a month. Now I ain't got no more hangers, so I can't go right now. But
I was getting hangers at the thrift store.
Yeah, I did. But I've decided that I really started researching it and like going on like Yelp reviews. I didn't realize how cool Yelp reviews were outside of food, and so I was going on Yelp reviews and researching like the local thrifts. And I would just take those Saturday and just go to different ones I would definitely say it's changed not only my budget, but it's changed my fashion, because I think that like I dress the way I actually wanted to dress because it's cheaper. Like when you want to dress the way you want to dress, you see these like high tag prices and you're like, I can't afford to dress like I really want to dress. But if you go thrifting, you can learn how to, you know, create your own style at a small price. So that is what I've developed as a passion. And I continue to develop it.
Amen.
Yes. Well, you know, I think that I try to be more Jesus-y. And
Jesus-y.
And hopefully that my Jesus-y ways rub off on others. And I'm really passionate about talking a little bit more to people who have questions or thoughts about the Bible, stuff like that. I try to spend time doing stuff like that. Another, with the writing portion, I've gotten a lot into trying to be around like-minded people or following like-minded people who are writing books, and just trying to, you know, learn more about becoming an author and a publisher and things of that nature. And so I really, I have so many book ideas. Like I've got a whole list of book ideas. I just haven't done anything with it, but now
Come through, book ideas.
I have been really focused on that, and hopefully having some extra time in life, I'll be able to really put forth that.
Yeah, you know who out here listening? Like, yeah. Okay.
You know what? Hold on. Because I just thought about something whenever CiCi was talking. Also, one thing that I'm doing is I have a mentor now. And so, and going through that, blah, 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 blah.
You are a mentor or you have a mentor?
I have a mentor now. And going to the Black Therapist Rock Conference was very helpful because it put me around a lot of people who are doing the things that I'm doing. And so, y'all know this year I've done a lot of out-of-the-box things, and I've just be really doing the most. But I would say one way that I'm developing my passion is being around people who have like-minded ideas and learning from them, and also being close to them helps me realize that, like, if they can do it, I can too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, well, to the next segment. The next one is there goes Kay being creative and sending me a message with my new tagline.
Yeah.
Put it on a shirt.
But the next one is pain. So out of passion, pain, and pleasure at pain. The first question is, what is one painful experience you thought you would never see your way out of? And it doesn't have to be...
I'm just kidding. I don't get
It doesn't have to be detailed, of course, and you don't have to give like your worst life event, but just what is something that you just never thought you would see the other side of? Not all at once.
It's a deep question. So let me unpackage it a little bit. Just one experience that I thought I would never see my way out of would have to probably be the death of my uncle. Literally, he died the day after prom. The morning after prom, we were on our way to go down and take care of him. For like weeks, I would just go and sit in his room. Nobody knows that. I would just go and sit in his room. I had no purpose at that moment. I didn't know like which way to go. Do I turn left? Do I turn right? Who do I scramble eggs for? Because I don't want to eat them messes. And a lot of times they would also find me rocking in a chair at my grandma's house. Like, so for me, I thought I would never, like to this day, I know I need to make time because it's a part of my healing, but we're talking 2012 is when he passed. 2008. Ooh, Jesus, talking about 2012. 2008, this is our 10-year reunion for high school, and I have yet to go to that gravesite.
Mm.
So I know that's a part of, I know it's pain, but I'm dealing with it in spurts. Like I've dealt with it in other ways, but I know that last piece is me going out there and actually visiting that site.
Mm. I don't know how people do that, but... Anybody? She just set the tone, so you gotta step your game up. Woo! I wasn't even gonna go that deep. I was gonna tell y'all about.
Damn UK and this vulnerability, child. I will say the pain for me has been navigating relationships. Family relationships, romantic relationships, my connection with other people has been a pain point for me. And I think I'm finally at the point where I understand those things a little bit better, and I'm navigating them better, even if I'm still in painful situations or situations that are bothersome. I can manage it now, and it's not something that I have to run from. And then the other thing would be probably the depression and other emotions that come along with being in dysfunctional relationship situations too. Those would be my two biggest things. Like, I never thought that I would be at the point where I am now, where it's like I'm genuinely happy. Like, even on the worst of worst days, like, I could probably like bawl about something that's stressful and still be like, but you know what, I'm good now, and I'm not affected by things the way I used to be.
Ooh. That was weird.
All right, well, I'm gonna go. So I was like, so mine would be very similar to Sasha's. I think I've had some very difficult relationships in my life, whether it's parental and personal, and so I think that there are a lot of situations I didn't think I was going to make it out on the other side, and I didn't know if the other side was going to be prison. I mean, I'm just going to throw that out there. But, so, I'm just, life comes at you fast. But, so, what I would definitely say is not knowing and, like, having to sit with pain is not something that we all ever want to experience, but you have to feel that pain in order to get to the other side. Like, there's no way to, like, go around it or go under it or go above it. You really have to go through it. And I think a lot of the times, in my life, I've not wanted to go head on, but I've learned that, pain is something that you just gotta go through.
Ooh, shit.
That was a word, child. This episode.
The whole basketball court just popped in my head. You know how you just cross somebody up and they still already at the end of the other end and they like block your shot. So it's gonna come back. It's gonna come back.
Always. It is always coming back. You really do gotta just like temporary pain for long-term success.
Yeah.
Ooh, this was that question I was going skirt. I am trying to figure out a way that I can answer this question without being way. I think I don't know how to do it.
You got this.
I think there's been some things that have happened in my life that have impacted me so much that I have taken on a sense of guilt and shame about. And that has been painful. And it's still painful because, unlike everybody else, I done skirted around it and went over and above. I haven't really dealt with it yet. But realizing and letting go of the fact, like, some of this was truly not your fault. So why are you holding on to some of these feelings? That has been something that I've worked on, have gotten a lot better in.
And let me clear up something for you. I'm not saying I'm all the way there yet.
Right.
But we traveling.
Right.
We traveling. The car is on full and we driving.
Okay.
Because I'm sitting here like Nikayla said, you said it's 10-year anniversary. Yeah. And been a great site. I'm like, it's probably going to be a good 20 before I get there. So
yeah.
So the next question, we kind of already touched on it, but if there's anything else you want to expand upon, what lessons have you learned from pain?
Ooh, child.
I'm going to start by saying this, and I don't think that I've ever really touched on this before, but I have an issue with boundaries. And, I think that I stay in unhealthy situations way too long.
Amen to that.
And when I say way too long, like it's, it is one of those things where it's just like, and I had an ex-coworker tell me something the other day. Got toss of ex. But I had a coworker tell me something like not too long ago, and she was just like, if you've ever experienced any type of trauma, you are more susceptible to being in a long-term situation that's unhealthy. And, it kind of like was a deja vu moment for me, because I was just like, I never understood why in professional or personal or whatever it is, I'll be in these situations and you be out there screaming and veins popping out your head and you be, angry and like you do all these things. And it's just like, why do you stay in these situations when you can easily just walk out of it? So I've been a lot more conscious of setting boundaries, a lot more conscious of paying attention to warning signs, and not just paying attention to warning signs, but understanding that warning signs come with an action plan. Like, I can't just say, oh, here's some warning signs and not do anything about it. So now I'm like, okay, here are the warning signs. What are you going to do about it? And you don't have to say, like, that's not the thing that, you have to do. So I will definitely say recently I've taken more into account boundaries, especially in unhealthy situations.
I think for me, the lesson that I'm still learning, is that it's way more helpful and healthy to not suffer in silence when you're in pain. I have spent a lot of time in silence about the things that I've gone through, just out of my own mind, feeling like, okay, I'm the only one. Just common things that I teach all the doggone time. But really, like, realizing that you can talk to somebody else about it. And I think that's the lesson. Like, I don't have to suffer in silence.
Right.
So finding my voice.
Ooh, that's weird. Because, honey, that voice has been like a soft spot for me. It ain't never been as strong as y'all are about to catch me in these up and coming months, years, and forever. Because I am no longer going to be silent.
You better sing it from the rooftops.
Listen, because that's been a painful spot for me. Is people not liking me. Pain has taught me to know that I'm creating a circle and everybody can't be in it. And no matter if it's family, people, childhood friends, some of them got to go, because if they don't, I'm going to be stuck with them.
Listen at the book on the cable.
I can't.
Not the book.
Yes,
Yeah.
Whoosh. Okay, girl. Go to the next question.
No.
Oh, Sasha ain't answered yet? Jesus.
You're like, we just got to skip her.
Right.
Keep going.
All right. Well, so I will say that I've learned a lot of lessons from pain, and I guess the biggest one would be that I'm enough, and I don't need anybody else's approval, or I don't need anybody else to step in and cape for me, or any of that stuff. Like, I have everything that I need in order to do what I was put on this earth for, and just meant to be. And I don't... Backstory. So I guess I have a habit of looking to other people for validation. Like, I was the girl who felt like I needed other people. I wasn't enough by myself. I always had to be linked or connected with somebody else. And so pain has taught me that me standing barefoot and bold in who I am and my truth is way better than being attached and connected to hurtful people, and people who don't have my best interests at heart. And like, being by myself, although it can be it can be uncomfortable, it's cool. Like, it's fine. I can be by myself and be okay.
Okay.
So the next question is, have you ever been in survival mode?
Jay never got out of survival mode.
Why, when I wrote that question, I knew you were going to say that. But let me tell you about my life.
Still out here
I know. Still out here fighting that fighting.
say certain things, and it's like
Right.
Rocky gonna come out.
back.
Okay.
That
Ooh,
is true.
child. Survival mode. I feel like I ain't got out of there yet. And I don't know if it's because I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if it's because I haven't learned what I needed to learn, or if it's just the sort of become my norm. And that's probably not very healthy, but that's where I've always been, because there's been one thing after the other in my life. One thing after the other. And, life is life, but it's just like I don't ever feel like I've ever had time to like, before the next thing comes. Mm-hmm. So I just always feel like I'm in survival mode, really and truly. Mm. But I'm going to breathe.
I know.
Breathe again. And I
Nobody
love you
shout
so
out
much.
Tony Braxton.
But no, I would agree. I feel like if it ain't one thing, it's another. But I will say I'm coming out of survival mode because I understand that even though there's always something coming, I can deal with it. Mm-hmm. I've got the skills and the tools to deal with it now. I'm not in fear mode. I'm stepping out of fear mode. I don't feel like my back is up against the wall. I feel like it may be uncomfortable, but I can deal with it.
My survival mode came when I first got out of college. And I would definitely say I didn't need money, but I've always, like, since a young age, I got my first job when I was 14, and I worked 2-3 jobs at the same time. And it's not that I needed it, it's just that I grew up seeing a parent who, my mom was out here hustling. So in my mind, that was the norm. That's just what I did. I didn't need that work 3 jobs, but some odd reason, my senior year at that, I was working 3 jobs. And my junior year. And so the thing that I will say in this situation is when I got out of college and I was like, okay, what's about to happen? I got my first real job, and that's where I met CiCi. And that was the hardest survival mode for me, because at one point at that job, I was thriving. I'm making good money, fresh out of, I'm stunting on everybody like, I'm making all these dollar bills.
And you're fresh out of college jobs where we was making pennies on the dollars. I remember getting my first check and being like, y'all, I got a refund check.
Okay.
Every month.
But, stupid. And then life came at me, very fast.
Ooh,
and the company, it goes back to what I was saying. I was in that unhealthy relationship for 5 years. You longer than me. 7. Yeah, so we were in this unhealthy relationship, and when the bottom started to crack, we were like, but we gonna hold on to the top, Jesus. We hold on to the monkey bars at the top, but when the bottom started falling out, it was coming, and it was a slow fall, but it was a fall. And 1 week you get a letter saying, oh, we have to cut you 3% or 5% or 2%. Then it went, we don't know when your check gonna come, but it's gonna come, girl. Just don't hold your breath. I remember the first time that, I had a lot of things that were taken straight out of my account. Bills that were taken out of my account, and the check came so late that I ended up having all these fees. It was the first time ever. And y'all know how I'm about finances, so I'm freaking out, no. So, and then on top of that, when I ended up leaving that company, we ended up technically got laid off, but technically we didn't.
Girl, the company didn't exist.
The company closed. But we left before it closed.
Oh, okay.
And I believe the program director at the time got us an interview with another company, which was an unhealthy situation. But either or. So I think that, that taught me, it taught me money management. That taught me, y'all say I'm cheap. That is why I'm cheap, because I was out here living a life of luxury. Out here just, you want me to buy that? I got you. And then the money starts slowing down, decreasing, not coming. And I was just I'm in survival mode. I was living by myself at that time. I had an apartment. Mm-hmm. I had bills. I had all these things, and they can't stop just because they can't come up with the money. Mm-hmm. That was the first thing I ever learned about survival mode, because 1, it was the first time I was on my own, and 2, it was the first time I really went through like financial stuff. And I stayed in that situation, and when the building closed,
honey,
it was like the roaches at the end, scurrying.
I'm not gonna cry, honey.
But I mean, the blessing was like, our last day was on a Friday. We started another job on a Monday.
Right.
We interviewed in the snow.
Right.
Like, we was out here like, girl, we just got to make it. Me and CiCi interviewed for our job together. I ain't never heard of that before. We interviewed together for our job. That's how serious it was.
Right.
But I mean, like double or nothing.
Yeah, it's either both of us or neither.
Okay.
Or if you got to just take me. No, but I mean, I will say.
You know she shaded when she left me in that office.
You're right. But I'm out here trying to live. But I will say that survival mode, that was when I really learned like survival.
You know one thing though, I cannot wait to really live. And I think I'm like sort of Sasha, where I'm stepping out of survival mode and really starting to live the way I think I should. And I'm getting excited about that.
But maybe have we ever thought that we were in survival mode and we were unhealthy in these situations because we weren't living the life we were supposed to live?
Of course.
Yeah, like, and it never hit me until like this moment where I was just like literally these things were happening because God was like, this isn't your destiny. You took the left court. You should have took the right. Yeah, it was like, I'm going to you got options,
right?
And God will send you that same lesson until you learn it.
Sure will. In the same way, He'll just be like, you just ain't learned. Let me sprinkle this onto your life real quick.
Right.
So now I'll be like, this the lesson. All right, so we learned it. It's uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be uncomfortable today than uncomfortable 5 months from now because I did some dumb stuff.
Right.
So the next question is, do you think pain is more physical or mental?
I think it's both.
Okay.
Like, I think it can be physical and mental because, and a big piece of it is if you don't pay attention to those mental signs of pain, it will manifest in physical.
That mind-body connection.
So, I think it's a combination of both. Like, you can feel physical first before you feel it in a mental state, or you can feel a mental state and ignore it and then turn into a physical state.
Mm-hmm. Specifically, like, there's times where you get to the point where, like, the pain can be so debilitating that it becomes like depression, and then that depression becomes so debilitating that you can't like mentally even exert anything. Like you're just like, I just want to lay on this couch and eat Ben and Jerry's, Sherry Garcia. But I will say that I used to always think that pain was mental until I learned about what's the clinical word? Somatic symptoms. Thank you. Until I learned about somatic symptoms, I'm like, oh, that's why I always got migraines. Oh, that's why I always got like it never registered to me before I learned about it that like pain can be physical. I just thought like, oh, pain, hit your toe on the corner of the bed, that's pain. But like connecting the dots between mental and physical pain, I never connected until I learned about that.
Yeah.
So.
I tell my clients all the time, like when it comes to stress, you need to go ahead and get it out and deal with it because, all right, so like if I ball my fist up, right now it don't hurt. It's just like my fist is balled up. But if I keep my fist balled up tight like this for an hour, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And if I keep it balled up for 4 hours, it's really going to hurt. And if my fist is still balled up tomorrow, I might not have an arm. And that's what people do with their stress. They just keep it balled up and it manifests in physical ways. So it's real pain. It ain't imaginary.
Yeah.
Lord knows it ain't.
Yeah. And I don't think people really truly understand that connection. So it's helpful when you come to therapy or whatever so that that can be pointed out to you because I can tell you I didn't realize some of the times when I be in so much pain, like physical pain, and realize not connecting it with I'm stressed out about stuff. And once my stress is like relieved, I don't have the same pains anymore. And it's just like, okay. But, yeah.
So last question in the pain section. What are your thoughts on overcoming pain? Whether it's mental, physical, emotional.
Well, my honest opinion,
I don't know.
It's probably about to be similar to what I was getting ready to say.
Because I don't think that the whole idea of I always think that there's going to be a segment in your life that's going to bring pain. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we learn along the way strategies and tools to kind of sort of deal with the pain so it's not as intense the next time it comes around. But I always feel like there's going to be a segment in our life where there's pain, whether it's death in the family, whether it's like losing something, and you are trying to deal with that, but you have tools so it doesn't like stay as harmful or hurt you as bad as that original thing did. So I do feel like, I mean, overcoming it, I guess when you put it that way, I did overcome it, but at the same time, I won't always be looking for the other shoe to drop in that sense, but knowing that I have a set of tools that I can utilize if pain shows itself again, because it will.
Mm-hmm. And I think overcoming pain is like, not, oh, I made this pain go away. It's like, I understand what this did to me, and now I'm doing something different.
Mm-hmm. And that whole idea of understanding your pain is deep, because I feel like if you don't understand your pain or the source of the pain,
you repeat it. You repeat it.
You repeat it, and in a sense, to me, pain is contagious. Like, you want other people to hurt just as bad as you hurt. And so you're doing all of these hurtful things to other people because you're not wanting to deal with what you got going on.
I would say one thing that's helped me a lot with pain, I would even say more recently, is positive self-talk. Mm-hmm. Because, like, when pain comes, I'm like, oh, this is it. Like, I don't say anything positive. I'm like, Lord, Jesus, Titanic. Like, y'all know how I get. I just be like, yeah, Piglet. Because I'm Piglet. I have the worst anxiety. So when pain comes, it could be like it could be something everybody's like, okay, girl, you know. But I'm just like, but it is the worst. But I will like overdo everything. So what I've been really doing lately is make a very conscious decision, like very conscious decision, to have positive self-talk. Like, I have these spikes with my blood pressure. When my blood pressure gets too high, I get very faint. My hearing goes out, my vision goes out, and I have to lay down and I have to like lay as flat as possible. But when my doctor told me what it was, and she was just like, you just have to wait it out, I would literally be in those moments like, I'm about to lose my life. And then it would like cause me to hyperventilate. And it felt like it never ended. But I actually just had one like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, all right, girl, you know, let's talk. Like, what we gonna do tomorrow? You know, like, what we gonna eat tomorrow? Like, I'm over here like, you good? You gonna get it? You gonna work your way through it? Da 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 da. And then when I'm coming out of it, I'm like, all right, good. You know, like, but before with my anxiety, I'm just like, nah. I'm over here trying to write messages on walls and stuff like my final will and testament. Yes, I did. My final will and testament. I've done that many a times on the wall. But
so angry on the inside.
I know. We are. But I've learned that positive self-talk, specifically with my anxiety, because that is my biggest mental pain, that it's been very helpful. Very helpful.
Mm-hmm. You know, one thing I can say about pain, and this is the Jesus in me, is that the Lord doesn't give us more than we can bear. And although when you're going through pain, it feels like the worst thing ever. And sometimes you feel like you may not come out of it. But when you come out of it, you come out a different person. Like, I think you're like one step taller or something. I don't know. You're like something different, but it's because that's what God is designing you to be. Mm-hmm. Like, He's designing you to live on purpose. And without these trials or tribulations and pains that we go through, like, we never would step into the self He would want us to be. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I just think, like, when it rains, it's because that's how you grow. So, yeah, child, it ain't gonna be easy. It's not fun, but make sure you're trying to learn whatever it is that you're going through. So
and
that
ain't no shortcuts.
No.
Boy, I've been trying to find them. They ain't out
there.
Because they come back like, it's almost like, and this is going to sound so stupid, but like, you know those games where like you used to go to Chuck E. Cheese and it'd be the whack-a-mole? Yeah, yes. You be like, bam, and the other one would pop out. You be like, no. Yes. And that's life when you try to avoid it. Yes. It's a constant whack-a-mole, and eventually you just like, I just can't win for losing, Jesus. But that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So now let's go to something happy.
Yes,
I can't make y'all end on a bad. So pleasure. So just before we even start pleasure, we're going to talk a lot about self-care. I know we talked about self-care in the past before. However, self-care, and one of you all can jump in if you want to, but self-care is not just minding your business. What self-care is a lot to do with being mindful about taking care of yourself. That could be anything from hobbies, extracurricular activities. It could be anything from like scheduling a nap. It's just everything that is really focused on you and your like health. So with that being said, the first question is, 1, what brings you happiness? Specifically, can be family, work, life, etc.
My little family brings me happiness and joy. Most days, we have frustrating days. And like I said, my idea of being creative brings me happiness, and just like to the point where not recently, for a while now, it manifests in my dreams. So if I go to bed and like it's something that's been like I couldn't figure out during the day, and I couldn't figure out how to navigate it and deal with it, in my dreams, this creative thought comes up, and the way my anxiety works is if I don't wake up in that moment and put it in my phone, it's gonna go away. So 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm disrupting my sleep trying to write it down on my phone because I'm not gonna remember it the same way the next morning. But being creative is that sense of that happy spot for me, and family. So those are those 2 for me.
I say family. I love being a wife and mother, but also like church. Like that's where I really can just like let my Sealy braids out and just go for broke, and that's where I'm happy at. I got my Sealy plaits in, and I feel like that's where I can truly be myself, the good, bad, and the ugly. I can just be free, and I'm happy when I'm able to do that.
Happiness to me is a pint of Ben & Jerry's Cherry Garcia ice cream. That is what happiness is to me. Matter of fact, new snack alert, they got these pint slices where it's the ice cream covered in chocolate. But either or, no. But no. So, I'm being honest, but don't take that too hard. Happiness for me is having nothing to do. I find myself being overwhelmed. Like my life has been like boom, boom, boom. Like I don't feel like I ever have time to like sit down sometimes. And I don't know if it's because I have like self-diagnosed ADHD and I can't sit down, or it's just like my schedule. Like I have a whole screen on my phone that is a calendar, because like I have other people put stuff on my calendar. I put stuff on my calendar. Like I have 2-3 people putting stuff on my calendar at this point, plus my own stuff. And a year and a half ago, my nieces were born, and there's 3 of them, and I got to help with them, and family stuff. So I feel like my life has been a constant like whirlwind for the last like year and a half, 2 years. And so happiness to me is really like looking at my calendar and be like, oh, I ain't got nothing to do. Let me just sit down and like binge watch something, or like let me just go take a walk, or I've had to schedule going to the gym, which I feel like you shouldn't have to schedule going to the gym, but like this is the first time in my life where I really have like been okay with like not doing. I really don't like you staring at me like that, but like not having 1,000 things. I mean, I still do have 1,000 things on my calendar, weirdly, but just having the time to sit.
As you were talking, I was looking at you that way because I was saying to myself, she is really out here minding her business. She is really flourishing in Mind Your Business Ministries, and I am here for it. Yes, look at you.
First of all, I've been always you know what? I did learn in that last month, in the month of July, I had a premonition where I was like, yo, I gotta learn how to mind my business.
Ladies,
I was like, yo, for real, after the day, I gotta learn how to
ladies and gentlemen, look at this.
And life has because like growing up, everybody used to feel like I was like this mean person. People tell me to this day, like you have a resting bitch face and you're mean, you look mean and you look standoffish. And then like something happened in my life where like I looked nice and like come talk to me ish. I don't know what that looks like, but
You never look like that.
like people just like have started flocking to have conversations with me, and I'd be like, what made you think I want to talk to you? Like, I don't get it. But then it became overwhelming because like, you know, not like, and I'm just like, wait a minute. I want to talk to you all. It's like, I don't know, it's weird. But yeah, minding my business has been, you know, my skin been glowing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your edges flourishing.
I mean, I've always had edges. Come on with edges. But I've had less gas. I've been able to tolerate almond milk. I've been eating cereal out in these streets.
Oh,
Girl, it's been a cool decade since I had a bowl
Been
of cereal.
somatic, huh?
Right.
Just
Real life somatic.
don't eat cereal and drink wine.
okay. Bye.
You already knew that. It sounds
Oh,
gross.
stop.
But I feel like if you separate them, you should be able to do it.
What was the question again? I'm just so excited about you minding your business that I just
What brings you
I
happiness?
feel like my life has purpose right
Oh,
now.
and then my nieces bring me happiness because even if I never decide that I want to push out anything that is like going to turn into an adult one day, I have 3 kids that I can claim, have fun with, and drop off. I ain't got to change them if I don't want to because I'd be like, hey, mom, dad, come change your kid.
Amen.
I love it.
Well, y'all know what makes me happy.
Did we start with you? Can we go to the next
I
question?
actually didn't answer the question. What makes me happy outside of minding my business is being around my friends, like you guys and my other set of friends, because you guys make me happy. You let me be my best self, and that's always important. So, being around people who appreciate me makes me happy. Music and candles make me happy, and the ocean.
Yeah, that makes me happy.
The ocean and traveling. Like if I'm near the water or if I'm in the sky, I'm really at peace. And like I said, creativity. Watch out for us in these streets.
Watch our world.
Amen.
Random. Next question. Name a time, situation, event when you felt the most happy in your life. None of that fake stuff like when you had your kids, because you ain't feel happy when you pushed them out. Not when you pushed them out. You
I
didn't.
didn't say when I pushed them out.
At least like a day later.
But, right.
3 days when your vagina closed back up. Okay, because everybody be like, oh my god, when I have my kids, I'm like, you're lying.
What, G?
You don't know our life, yo.
Okay, tell me the truth then.
She sucks.
You were like, at least that weekend.
Right.
That weekend after. They were like, oh, they're so cute.
When they start looking like little aliens.
I'm glad you said it because I ain't got kids, so I didn't want to make that statement.
Shout out to my sister who be proofing my pictures because she think her kids look crazy in some pictures. Just I ain't one of the parents. I think my kids look crazy sometimes.
Oh,
Don't you put yourself out there like that.
Takes a few of them.
So what's the one time you felt the most happy? The event, situation, life experience. Nobody out here feeling happy?
I'm gonna tell y'all because I've been on a high for like literally the last 3 weeks. So the happiest I felt was the whole entire weekend at BTR. Like I am not going to lie, that experience.
Not your wedding, not the birthday.
Those things were happy.
She's being a shady
moments.
friend.
Yes,
Those were happy moments
those were
for her.
happy
Not your
moments.
kid's first birthday.
But I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why this was probably the happiest, because I was not afraid to be vulnerable. I still have rough patches with family, rough patches and so when you thinking about birthday parties and weddings, you still have this piece of armor that you're putting on to protect yourself in these settings, and I felt that come off because people were calling me out on it. Like, literally, haven't met these people a day in my life besides on the social media, and people were getting my life. And so that, to me, felt like I could be vulnerable in that spot because they were okay being vulnerable. And so being able to be transparent with that type of energy was like probably the happiest moment, and that's why I say like I remain on that high now because still people are reaching out.
CiCi?
All right, so my happiest moment has not come yet, but I am working towards making it happen. Mm-hmm. I am manifesting it in my life. I'm prophesying over my life, honey.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting ready to work out. In Jesus' name. Amen. To the man. Okay? Mm-hmm. But I did have a happy moment when I turned 30 and I took me and my friends, we went to Miami. That was dope. One of the, I don't know why it was because I've been on trips before with my friends, but I don't know if it's just because of my 30th birthday, but it's just an experience I will never ever forget because we were being foolish.
And I'll piggyback off. I was going to say, my goal in life now, when I get myself together, because right now it's every 2 years, but I want to go somewhere different in the country. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like life is really short when you're only like stuck in Raleigh and that's all you know and that's all you experience. But I really want to get out and like explore the world. So like I've gone to different countries and experienced like food and culture and all their alcohols. And I really say like when I'm in a different country, not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with ours, I mean kind of stuff, but when I'm in a different country and I feel like I don't have no like care in the world, I mean other than safety of course, but it's just like a different feeling. Yes. Like I moments. Yeah, it's one of those times where it's like I feel the most stress free.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, like about my 30th birthday, I was going through a lot during that time, and I think it was the first time I've ever taken a trip where there wasn't guilt associated with like I left my kids and like I was just freed. Like I was determined that I was going to have a good time. And I was going to be free and not be worrying about the things that were going on, like, still. Because when I got back off the plane and got back home, I was just like, okay, well, I'm back in here. But I had that one moment of fun where it was really just focusing on me. Like, and I can't say that I have that all the time.
So you had a mind your business trip?
I did.
It's fun, though. I mean, I will say one thing. When I'm laying out on the beach or laying out in the resort or wherever it is, and I'm just like, I ain't even gotta wake up until I feel like waking up. You know what I'm saying? I don't gotta go sleep until I feel like going to sleep. I can eat, drink. I gained 7.5 pounds on my last trip when I went to Mexico. Sure did. That was a happy 7.5 pounds, honey. I'd take that back any day. Sash.
I would say my happiest moment have been in 2018. Like I've had a lot of fun in 2018. Like I've done stuff that I've never done before. I've done stuff that I told myself I never could do, or had all this fear associated with. Like I'm really out here living my best life, and people keep telling me that, and I really am embracing it. Like it's fun. So yeah.
That's what's up.
Next question. And I want y'all to really be honest because sometimes I don't know, I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes it's not easy. How often do you really practice self-care?
Not often enough for me.
If I was gonna put quantity on it, I'll probably say twice a month if I will be real honest with you. But that's because I've been very purposeful. Prior to that, it was probably once in a blue moon. Okay. Once in a blue moon. But now I can honestly say it's at least twice a month that I really sit down and decide that I need to take care of me.
I practice self-care all the time, but I will say that I need to practice self-care in healthier ways because sometimes self-care is avoidance. Like sometimes I'll go and do something for myself because I'm feeling stressed and I know that I need that relief, but what would really make me feel better is to not procrastinate. Mm-hmm. So I want to get better at not using self-care as an excuse.
Oh yeah, because
that is true.
I have black and white thinking sometimes. I'm like, you know what? I don't even need to do this work. I me go to the mall.
I ain't got my nails done yesterday.
Yeah, that's I understand that. I would say I've actually been a lot more mindful of practicing self-care. When I got back from Mexico, I was like, I don't want this feeling of happiness to end. So I joined the gym. I go to the gym at least 3 times a week. 4 actually. And then I go for walks in the morning around the park that's like literally in my backyard. And I really don't even just go to exercise, because a lot of times, like, when you're going to exercise, you're like focusing, deep breathe. Like, I just be like walking around and just looking at the nature. People be walking past me sometimes. I'll sit at the park bench because they have swings or swing benches. And I just sit. I've sat outside on my front porch a lot more. I like to people watch because people are weird. And I like doing stuff like that. But I've been doing a lot more of those things in this last month and a half, 2 months, of just being conscious with trying to get as much self-care as possible. Because life comes at you fast. I'd rather be happy now and be prepared later.
Amen.
Next question.
Good to hear you say these words.
I know, it took me a long time. I would actually say also, this is probably one of the happiest moments of my life. Because this is where it's like that full circle moment where things make sense. Mm-hmm. Like when you're going through life and you're trudging through, you don't really like look up to say like what is actually going on. Mm-hmm. But then like when you have time to slow down and actually stop, you're like, okay, let me put the pieces together the way they actually should be. Mm-hmm. It's fun.
You know, I don't even really rock with you like that, but
you know what?
I'm proud.
You almost called you out your name, girl.
I'm proud of you.
God has said on this Good Sunday, I was not going to talk about that name.
You are being black and blessed.
But next question. What are some of your favorite self-care activities, past and present? So name like 1 or 2 of your favorite self-care activities.
Travel.
I would say like going out of town. But I think one of my favorite that I like, you know, that time we had an episode about the lyrical destination, and I was like, I ain't got no songs.
I ain't got no songs either.
Music, like I forgot how much music is just one of the best things ever. Mm. And shout out to my Spotify. Like I really be out here making my list now, y'all.
Really?
I be on
I have so many different lists. Like the other day, I literally was rocking out to like the 99s to 2000s, and I was in the car with the windows rolled down, like this being loud and acting a fool. People were like, "What in the world?" But I was good.
Yeah. That's a real moment.
So,
that's a real moment.
What about you, Kay?
I'm rolling, y'all.
You are.
I'm so proud of y'all.
My favorite self-care activity would have to be travel as well. But let me think. This is hard. I'm gonna tell you one of my favorite self-care activities, because it had been laid back on my heart again, is to get back into writing. There was a book I shared with you guys like a year ago. I never done anything with it, and recently I've been trying to figure out like where this income gonna come from, and all my creative stuff that I've always put back on the back burner comes back. So my favorite self-care would probably be sitting down and completing, almost like CiCi said earlier, completing that task. Like it's complete, but it was just too hard to get other dynamics and other people involved, because I don't like other people. Not saying I don't like other people, but they don't like, to me, that's a pain point. Like Sash, it's a pain point because dependence on other people is a hard and a vulnerable spot for me, because I've been let down so many times. So I don't really know how to ask, and put my baby, basically my writing is my baby. Putting my baby in your hands in hopes that you do right with it is hard. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to make this happen. So recently, that's my like that affirmations piece for me is like my self-care, and writing brings that out for me.
I love this episode a lot, but I would say that my ultimate self-care is, like in a nutshell, is travel, laughing, and music, and then just being around like people that I love, and being able to put my brain to good use by like creating, you know, whether that's writing or, you know, us doing production on this podcast or coming up with graphics and stuff like that. Like, I just like creating things. Makes me happy.
I'm gonna tell y'all a secret about me. This is so weird. Look at it's so foolish. I'll tell y'all a secret about me. When I was in my senior year of high school, I had all my credits, and so I had to take a whole bunch of like fluff electives. And I took a pottery class. And this was back when in downtown Raleigh in the marketplace, we had this place called Amazing Glaze. And it's been closed. But in undergrad, I learned how to do pottery. Everything from creating the pottery to firing it or burning it to painting it to the glaze, etc. I loved that process. So then I would spend time at Amazing Glaze, which is downtown Raleigh, after that class ended, and I would like go sit and do like fun pottery. I would do it with groups. I would just go by myself. And then in Wake Forest, they have this huge group not program. They have this huge center, and in there they have a pottery place. And every once in a while, without telling people, I will go and like paint pottery. And a lot of things in my house are actually things that I've painted.
You should go to clay maker or
That's
clay
what it's
station.
called. Clay station in Wake Forest. Yeah, they be having coupons, but
Really?
yeah, that's
We gotta go.
okay. But so I will just like go and spend a day and just sit and pick out whatever it is because I can't actually make it there, but I'll paint it and then you could come back in like a day or two and they've glazed it, and it's so cool because like I'm not good at art, but I like it. Like that makes sense. Like I don't think I'm like a great artist, but there's something about the piece that comes with being able to like paint, whether it's a canvas, a pottery, or whatever. So yeah, that's one of my little secret favorite hobbies. I really need to get back into it. I haven't done it in a couple weeks. Excuse me, a couple months. I was about to say a couple months. Last question. This kind of wraps this whole little pleasure piece up. And I have had a bucket list that I've added to for the last 4 years. What 3 things would be on your bucket list? Don't roll your eyes, CiCi. What 3 things would you put on your bucket list or more?
I'll start. Travel more to countries like Dani. I have not been outside of the United States, so I'm going. Well, yes, I have. I guess on a cruise, but
Yeah.
I want to fly somewhere and actually be like Stella. I'm gonna take my groove with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna say,
but
you got a groove, so
I'm gonna take my groove with
No,
me.
that's
But
weird.
I want to have those moments and create those moments because, like, I don't really have that. 2, I want to have my own planner production company and children's books. I want to publish children's books. And my last one on my bucket list would be having family vacation. So it goes with the first one, but the first one is more so like me and my husband traveling outside of the country. I take kids sometimes, but that was just a us thing. But we did not have family vacations when I was growing up besides Myrtle Beach. That's only like 45-minute drive from home. And I want to be able to travel with my kids. So those are all on my bucket list. Don't sound spontaneous, but we're going to do spontaneous things on them. Like zip line, jumping off buildings.
Yeah,
I can't jump off
jumping on buildings.
But zip line across one building.
I zip line, but I ain't jumping off nobody's building.
Me neither, probably.
I'm not there in my life yet.
Me neither. Me either.
No.
But, it might come. But those are mine.
CiCi?
All right. Well, I don't think we're too far off. So, traveling is definitely something that I want to do. Traveling across seas, going to different places, experiencing like remote places. Like that's something that I'm really interested in. Also taking more family vacations. I mean, my kids are old now. They're not that old, but they're old enough to where I think they can experience different things. Like I'm goofy enough. I want to go to every state, and like I just want to travel to every state and pick the like monument at that state that is like the place that you're supposed to visit. I want to do stuff like that. Also, I want to legit write every one of the books that I have on my list to write and have them. I want to self-publish. And I want my own business.
Amen.
Businesses.
There you go. Come through.
Okay.
Sash first.
Shout out to this question. You bought me a bucket list box for my birthday, and I was looking at it yesterday. Like, I need to put some stuff in
Yeah,
here.
you should.
So thanks. I will put these 3 in my box. So one thing, and my answer is not going to be deep because I'm tired of being deep today. I'm over it.
I mean, how's a bucket list being deep?
Look, because I got a lot of deep things on my bucket list, but these are going to be all
Just a sad
probably
list, not a
superficial.
bucket list.
One thing that I've always wanted to do, speaking of jumping off of things, I've always wanted to go skydiving. It just seems super scary, but also exhilarating and fun, and I want to do it.
Will Smith is on his 50th or 60th birthday is jumping through the Grand Canyon.
Oh,
Bungee jumping in the Grand
And
Canyon.
see, now that...
I was like, now let me tell you something.
I
He's
know
gonna end up
about
like Hillary's husband on that episode. Y'all remember that? Hillary, will you?
Will you what?
Yeah, that's what he. Let me knock on wood. Go ahead.
No, I don't want that to happen. But yeah, I want to skydive. I also, like you guys said, I want to travel, and there's like a whole slew of places that I want to go, and just say that I went, and like you said, experience the cultures and the food, and just really take it all in.
I'm gonna be naked and afraid.
I don't know about naked and afraid. I feel like it's germs. I don't know.
No, I'm not gonna be naked and afraid. That was.
I have an
I
irrational
thought you were
fear.
saying you were going to be naked and afraid. That's what I was like.
I
forgot
couldn't
the
go
TV
on
show.
naked and afraid
It is.
because I have an irrational fear that like something's gonna crawl up inside.
Yeah.
it ain't irrational.
I mean, it may not be, but that just makes me afraid. And then my last one is I want to create a life where I just get to be myself for a living.
Yeah.
And get paid for it. That's goals.
Definitely goes. Where I ain't got a filter, I ain't worried about my employer listening. I ain't worried about nobody going.
Shout out to your employer listening.
So we ain't gotta tell Sasha delete all that shit.
I know, right?
Like let that run. Let it run.
Don't edit that. Don't edit that. But I would say there's 3 places that I want to travel to in the next. I'm giving myself 3 years because I say one place each year. In Hawaii, they have beaches with jet black sand. I want to go to those. Now, shout out to Joe because I didn't know that they had beaches with jet black sand until that song that came. Shout out to Joe. But I want to go to a beach with jet black sand in Hawaii. I'm serious. I want to go to Santorini, Greece. The ancient. It's beautiful and their water is gorgeous. And then I want to go to Cuba.
Cuba.
Yeah, so I want to go to Cuba. It'll probably be Cuba first because that's already on the list. So,
I want to learn Spanish.
Okay, so you want to learn Spanish for your bucket list? The second thing is I've always wanted to run a 5K.
Me too.
Yeah, I want to run. I don't want to walk, and I don't want to walk. I want to run.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna have to get some really good sports bras that day, but I want to run.
I want to participate.
Yeah.
No, I do. I want to participate. I don't know if
No.
You don't want to
We'll
run.
walk.
You want to walk.
We'll walk run.
okay.
I've done 5Ks where I
Y'all
walk.
can run. It's like 3-point-something odd miles.
Yeah, it's 3.
We can train. Okay, cool.
Well,
We're gonna get our Couch to 5K app and we'll look up a day and we'll train.
Yeah, that's cool. So I want to run a 5K, and because I'm not like I've not really cared about running, so yeah, so travel to those 3 places: jet black sand. Run a 5K. And create a second stream of income. That affords me the ability to do more things, specifically like the travel, and being happy in my career.
Amen.
I want to go to the Holy Land.
The Holy Land Experience in Florida?
Jerusalem.
Oh, okay.
You see how I look at her like that? Just mad. Just made me mad right now. Other things that are on my to-do list, my bucket list, I want to, because I've actually crossed off a few of mine.
I
But
we just said 3 though. But what's going on?
I have a whole list. I have a list for years. I've been crossing them out slowly but surely. Become more confident.
Yo,
Become
I
more
got a
confident.
list in my notes app in my phone.
Yeah, I got a notes app
I
too.
be forgetting.
Yeah, become more confident. I want to take swim lessons again because I used to swim all the time. And then, like, not the other day, but like when I was in Mexico, I got in the water and I was like, whoa, you know, like, it ain't come back to me so quickly. I didn't even feel that. But,
To become more confident.
You want to sign up for it at the
just,
Y?
huh?
You want to sign up for it at the Y?
Isn't it expensive though?
I don't know. I know how to swim, but I
know how to swim too, but it's like I got to get that refresher course because.
But I
can float still.
have never learned formally how to swim. I was just taught by a family member.
Oh, I formally learned how to swim because I was a camp counselor, and we had to learn how to swim because every like Tuesday and Wednesday we go to the pool.
So I want to formally learn how to swim.
Yeah, well, yeah, formally learned. I mean, that was also like a lot of years ago, like 2 decades ago. So, I want to learn Spanish because I put so much effort into learning Spanish, and then like once I placed out of it in college, I was like, I don't need that. But nowadays, learning Spanish can help that second income. Hello. And the last thing, I want to be able to hold a plank for a minute without feeling like my arm's gonna fall off.
Amen.
Yo, I had it was on my bucket list, but I'm gonna put it in there because I accomplished it when I did them 100 burpees. Son.
Yo.
Oh yeah.
And when you sent us that message, I was like,
I really felt like I didn't need to do anything else in life.
you don't.
My burpees are still working in my life.
Yeah, they are. Shout out to Zeke because I hated them burpees.
Because
I didn't even know what a burpee was until I did that.
Right.
I wouldn't have gone. I would have been like, well, I'm sleepy. I'm going home.
Lord.
But yeah, so shout out to the bucket list. So thanks, guys. That was passion, pain, and pleasure.
That was painful.
The boot camp that should remain there.
No, I'm playing.
CiCi, you gonna wrap us up?
All right. Well, I just have one final question, and it is: has your religion impacted your passion? If so, how?
Yes, because growing up, my family did not believe in this whole idea of mental health, and let alone my whole degree, they were against my whole being in college of social work. They were like, you ain't gonna make no money, you ain't gonna do this, and all those things.
That's quite true, actually.
You know what?
It is not
It is
true.
not true. I don't think we
Well,
tapped into
yeah.
the incomes that we could tap into
Right.
because of that idea of fear. But that whole, because I grew up in a very religious family, so that's how that plays a role into it. And like I said, mental health was not talked about. I think there was a situation in the church one time where instead of relying on supports outside of the church, I don't know if this girl is okay or whatever, be have it, but they kept it like covered inside of the church to the point where everybody was just whispering, and then it could have been somebody that helped her. And like that's that whole idea of like, do I tell them what I do? Do I just keep it to myself? Because it was hard to come out and say I am a mental health therapist, because when you say therapist, the first thing people are going to ask you what type. Mm-hmm. And so recently, a lot more of the church members back home, and like specifically my grandma's church and things like that, have been reaching more out to me. So I think me coming out of my shell now and not being so frightened to talk about my passion is allowing them that space to grow as well. Right. Because I think it was just a situation where the knowledge wasn't there, and I'm from a very small town that's all they knew. But now when I give you the knowledge, I'm going to call you ignorant later. If you don't listen to what I'm giving to you. Like, to me, I think you said it like willfulness, ignorance last time. Like, at this point, you're asking for my knowledge, but then when I give it to you, you don't really take it into account. I mean, to me, I don't know how else to help you. I'm going to mind my business, like Sasha was saying.
I will say one thing, and it's weird because like this isn't even the passion about work, it's a passion just in general. that I've, over the years developed since I was like 18. I've always been told I was like a flower child, or like a child of the world, or I don't know. People used to always, especially in college. But I like things that I don't think I won't say my church specifically, because I don't want to call nobody out, but church looks highly on. Mm-hmm. So say for instance, like I like things that are not biblically okay. Like I got a lot of tattoos, or piercings. Mm-hmm. There are things that are really like, my church is like an older church, like an old school church. So like, your skirt got to be, we got to go down the knees, like your dress can't be too tight, or, those type of things. And like, I remember when I first got my first tattoo, I was getting all my tattoos in places, of course, business wise, that nobody could see. But I would like go to church and be hiding. And there's one lady at one young woman at my church, and she always has her tattoos out, and then she got a nose ring. And I was like, well, why don't I do it? But it was something about the fear of like the people in the church like looking at me differently,
figuring me out.
Yeah, like, and looking at me like, well, look at that heathen, And I've been very open outside of my world, but then when I go to church, I'm like this completely different person. Mm-hmm. Like in real life, I curse like a sailor. My mama, my grandma, like everybody in my family knows I curse like a sailor. I have tattoos. I have no piercings. But when it came to church, I would become this completely different person. And so I think that now I'm living my life to be who I am, no matter what the scene or the setting is. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's really how church has impacted me. I've had to kind of let go of the hold they've had on me being like free and being like who I actually want to be. I feel like that expectation of like you living your life exactly this way has kind of made me not, it's like muffled me in a way. So yeah, that's a weird one, but
I would say that I'm very similar to Dani in that, and what she said, I came from a very religious family, and so I always felt like there were certain rules and expectations that I had to follow, and I couldn't necessarily be myself. And now I'm learning that I can be myself and also be spiritual and religious at the same time. That like God is okay and pleased with who I am, and me and God we real cool, we real tight. I'll be checking in with him and I'll be like, what you think about this? And he'd be like, you good, girl. And so yeah, I feel like that has helped me elevate to the next level, where I'm focused on my passion and my dreams, and making sure that the ideas that he's communicating to me are coming out in my actions.
Amen.
I think for me, much like I guess everybody else growing up in a Christian environment, that has always been instilled in me. Christ, church, all of that has always been instilled in me. But it has been recently where my passion for really somehow, and I've said this before, bridging that whole gap between mental health and the church, where I really want to be able to make that gap a lot smaller. And also, I really want to reach people. I think you guys have inspired me a lot, but to reach out to people who have been stuck in the whole religious thing, because it is something totally different. Religion is what people put these laws and stuff into place, and really helping people realize like that is not what it means to be a Christian. And I think a lot of times that gets confused and it turns people off of going to church and that kind of thing. And I really want to just step in and like beat a bullhorn and be like, no, let me tell you what it's really about. Like people who are doing it like this, like they're old school and they ain't shook that off, and that's something they're gonna have to deal with. But let me tell you what it's really about. So yeah, I think that has created my passion, and I think God has created me to be something that I'm still trying to figure out. Like
discerning.
Whew, I don't really know what you're doing, but okay. So I think the things that I'm doing, I think I was purposely put on this earth to do, and I'm gonna just keep growing and however he wants me to grow. And I'm gonna tell you, this growth spurt,
It hurt.
Growing pains.
He got me
I ain't
out
gonna be
here.
good.
I'm a rephrase what I said earlier. I said I'm out here speaking, but the truth of the matter is I'm out here preaching.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is a hard thing to say because that's a lot. But I mean, I can't be ashamed of the gospel. So.
Yeah, not at all.
Well, Jesus.
Preach, sis.
She said it.
Well, thanks guys for listening to this episode what, 14, 15, 49, 14 of Four Sisters Podcast. Please follow us on all social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook under Four Sisters Podcast. If you want to send us listener letters, please send them to foursisterspodcast@gmail.com. I promise you we will try to read them next week because we have gotten them and have not read one. We read one. That was it. So make sure you like, share, send us a shout out if you like it. And that is all for this week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.